I have some problems with this notion of powerful knowledge. For me, it sounds incredibly as if there's better knowledge. It's better knowledge than the everyday knowledge of people. So there is, I absolutely agree that it has another contribution to make, but for me it's not a higher valuation. I had somehow the impression it is, and then I wondered how to when it is not somehow detached from the everyday experience, to how to teach it, how to make the students embody it.
Yeah. I mean, those are really good questions. I think the notion of powerful knowledge is controversial for that reason. It seems to undermine the value of local knowledges, indigenous knowledges, and so on. And so I can quite see that this is a tricky concept. In fact, Michael Young himself was asked in a seminar recently, last year, what's the distinction between powerful knowledge, as he's describing it, and disciplinary knowledge? And much to my amazement, and everyone else's amazement, he said, probably not much. And I think that was quite revealing, really, because I think powerful knowledge is a term that he's used, and it's now in the public domain, as it were. But all these things have a lineage. It comes from his own coining of the idea of the knowledge of the powerful. And I think he's kind of, there's a lineage there. And it could well be that in this project, we for reasons that you've articulated, and probably others too, we might decide that it's not a useful term. However, the distinction, which is what Michael wants to make, between disciplinary knowledge, let's say, and everyday knowledge, remains. And it is a very, very challenging idea indeed that there is such a thing as better knowledge. I mean, if we don't believe that, and there are plenty of people who will challenge it, but if we don't believe that, then we probably don't believe in disciplines. I mean, what are disciplines for other than to provide us with more reliable understanding? It doesn't mean it's fixed forever, it doesn't mean it's given, it doesn't mean it's not beyond challenge, but it does mean it's gone through a certain process whereby it's pretty reliable. And so that distinction probably is an important one, particularly when we come to consider the formal school curriculum. Why do we send kids to school?
I think that is a very important question, and I would like to ask David basically about this. Because I think that why not to take this everyday knowledge and that kind of idea into the concept of powerful knowledge. If we are thinking that disciplines have a certain type of knowledge and the teacher is having that kind of awareness of that knowledge, isn't it still important to take that children's or students' everyday knowledge into account and kind of put this together in teaching and education practices?
Can I have something before you answer?
Maybe can you add here powerful pedagogy, because that's where I'm thinking about it.
And actually, Tina, I think that's my answer to Surface Challenge. I think it's that there is conceptually a distinction between curriculum and pedagogy, which is perhaps important to hold in mind. And the curriculum is driven fundamentally, I suppose, by the what question. What are we going to teach children? It's a very, very difficult question. Pedagogy is driven more by, I guess, the how. And how are we going to engage children in this, that, or the other. So conceptually, I can see a distinction. In practice, on a Monday morning when you're teaching your grade 10 or whatever, I mean, there is no distinction. The whole thing is merged. It's a classroom experience. And I would say that if you're taking the curriculum seriously, a knowledge-driven curriculum, you have a clear idea of what it is you're trying to impart to children, then as a teacher, you do have to think hard also about the pedagogy. How am I going to engage children with these ideas, some of which will be difficult. So curriculum and pedagogy are distinguished, but in practice, teachers have to merge the two. And I think everyday geographies, this is the example I gave earlier today. If you live in a city, you have an understanding of the city. You live there. So you have an understanding of how it all works through your day-to-day experience. But that's all you've got. That doesn't necessarily mean you have an understanding of cities and how they might change and so on and so forth. So there is a distinction between everyday knowledges and this thing called powerful knowledge, or more abstract knowledge, or theoretical knowledge. But I think a teacher would move into that abstract, more theoretical knowledge from the everyday. Makes sense. I can't imagine a teacher not wanting to do that. So that is very definitely valuing everyday knowledge. But doing that doesn't answer the curriculum question. That's my point.